I don't know if we've had a weird history through the last year, because I know you had some comments for Ian, and Ian is a friend of the podcast, and
Yes.
it's all very it's all in competition. But I want to get into that first, just to kind of get it out of the way, and not necessarily talk about Ian, but just one of the topics I always cover on this podcast is veterans of the sport and how they see our current sport.
Yes.
So I see you as one of the icons of bodybuilding. Like everybody knows Milos, everybody knows your history, everybody knows how many pro shows you've done and won, and you have a very, very legendary history in bodybuilding. So one of the things I've always said is the people at the very top, or the icons that came before us, should do a better job to promote the current crop of bodybuilders instead of tearing them down.
Yes.
Do you feel that way at all about some of the comments that you've seen come and go from previous icons?
Yes, I do. But as I had this opportunity for the first time to talk about Ian, I know that you're very close to him. And I think that this incident that happened after the New York that he won was really misunderstood and blown out of proportion. So first to say, I love Ian and I respect him a great deal. Great deal. I don't know if you've seen my recent comments. I respect how hardworking he is. He's true hardcore bodybuilder. Very few train as intense as he does. He's so passionate about it. I heard that he's quite like me, just straightforward, say the things that he means. So if I can touch that subject, I'm going to tell you really. What I did after the New York show, on the way back, I was at the airplane. You can imagine you have a just very limited time to post something before the flight. I went on NPC News online. I took all these pictures. There was like 30, 40 photos. I put like 3 in 1. And I just posted them, from the show.
Yeah.
Not saying anything about my athlete, Max Charles, deserving to beat him or anything else. He's just putting that, right? So his response, when I landed, I actually seen it. Oh, look, I see what you're doing. You're putting pictures of Max that looks better than me, something like that, which I didn't, really. Yeah. So, of course, my smart-ass remark was, oh, well, if you see it this way, then, maybe you should think about it, right? And then we went back and forth, and it came to the point that, we sometimes answer something sarcastically, and he maybe took it in a wrong way. And I know that Melissa actually even cried in your podcast, which breaks my heart. Listen, I love everybody involved in this sport. Anybody that touches the dumbbell, steps his foot in the gym, I love it. This is my job. This is what I do. And especially Melissa and Ian, they're so lovable people. I mean, I have nothing against it. And then there was something else that I now don't remember exactly. He commented something else that maybe I took it wrong. But when I answered him, he was like, oh my God, no, she's taking this wrong. And then I guess he just blocked me on Instagram. so every time I do this is so funny. And I tell you the whole story. This Chicago this year, again, he was competing against Max. And I've seen that, and I know that you have an eye for that because I see you commentating Prague show. And you watch when people are losing their legs and they relax it and, front relax from double biceps, front lat spread, abs and thighs. You don't squeeze your legs, the half of the body, you can lose that pose.
Yeah.
So me being me, I was passing by Ian, and he is competing against my athlete. But I have a duty, what I think. I told him, Ian, this is just my opinion. You didn't squeeze your legs in many poses, so pay attention in the finals. Okay. Yeah. And I said this in some interview. And I guess Max Charles and his wife took it against me, like, oh my God, I'm helping somebody, to beat them.
Oh, they thought you were helping the competition, kind of.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And I said, like, listen, okay, let me do this straight. I said, Max, I was backstage in New York talking in front of Akeem Williams and his coach. And I went there, I said, Akeem, if I can just tell you, glue your stomach to the spine, make your stomach flat, me as observant, trying to give him a good tip.
Yeah.
By the time he steps on the stage, if he pays attention, he can make a difference. I said, Max, I said this in front of you. You didn't say nothing, except you said, oh, Akeem didn't like it. I said, well, if he didn't like it, he took it wrong. But my point is, my athlete or not, I would always come to them and say what I think as an observer and old athlete, like you said, icons of the sport. I want to help. I never wanted to criticize to make it bad. I criticize positively, constructively in that sense. So Ian, if you're watching, I mean, from the bottom of my heart, if I insulted you, I apologize. I didn't mean it. And us commentating on a sport, sometimes I would tell my athlete, you deserve to win. And on that note, because you competed for a long time, and I don't know if actually a lot of people appreciate it. You're like 2 times pro champion, and you were like second so many times. I know that many times when I talk to some people that don't really recognize you as good as you were. So I just want to make that point, because we never talk about it. You're the IBB pro champion that many people would dream about and never achieve it, but you did. To get back on that, I try to constructively criticize. I'm not doing what some of the icons nowadays, as you said, are putting them really down.
Can I ask you, can I interrupt you before you answer that question? Just because something you said about helping guys, and I understand what you're doing, because I'm in kind of the same position now. So because I'm a little bit older, some guys send me their mandatory poses before a show. They're like, what do you think? Or my athletes that I have on the supplement company, those, what do you think? And I'll say, they'll be like a week or 2 out from a show. And I'll say, maybe if you do your side chest like this, it'll look a little better. Maybe you do your back double bicep like this, it'll look a little better. I found that even though your heart is in the right place, when you're trying to help somebody that close to a show, especially if they didn't ask, they take it the wrong way. You know what I mean? So like, I understand what you're doing with Akeem, right? Like you go to Akeem, you say, look, if you bring your stomach in, you might do a place or 2 better. But he's at the moment of the show, he probably can't recognize that you're trying to help. So he takes it the wrong way, right? Like, yeah,
I completely agree with you. And listen, this dated back to my first year as a pro. 91, I met Sonny Schmidt. I'm sure you know Sonny very well. I love the guy. So we became training partners. He was my roommate. And, so first time when I look at him and he said, what do you reckon? Right? What do you reckon? Yeah. That's Australian. I said, like, well, and I gave him some of the criticism, like, and he was, oh, cunt, because in Australia, they're all cunt. Yeah. I said, you don't say this, week before the show. I said, well, a week before the show, you asked me, and I told you. I mean, what does make a difference? Yeah. But really, I mean, now, is this insecurity of the guys? I would always much rather you tell me criticism than compliment, because compliment can be everybody. Oh, you look great. You look great. You don't look great. Yeah. And in that side chest, if you maybe turn a little bit more and do something, it makes a difference. So I am guilty of what you're doing constantly. Look, I love the guys. And when I say everything is okay, I'm not going to even comment, great. But if I comment, is pay attention, look in the mirror. Many guys don't explore. Can they just do something out of the ordinary? It's hard to teach an old dog a new trick. So they did the side chest for 5 years the same way. So they don't want to change it because this is what is comfortable. Yeah. But hey, look at this. They changed like 2 inches this way and he looked 10 pounds heavier. Yeah. So should I say it or should I zip it up?
No, I think it's something that should be said. I just think so if somebody doesn't ask and you offer the opinion, it's like, it's not that it's wrong. And yes, it's still coming from a good place, but you know how bodybuilders are. Well, why is it like immediately you would think to yourself, because at the backstage, you know how it is when you're backstage, you're like already in this very fragile state.
Yeah.
So to have somebody come up, especially somebody that they respect like you, and then all of a sudden go, hey, you're not tightening your legs. That's gonna mess with somebody's head, right? They're like, oh shit, does that mean my prejudge? You know, but it will help at the same time, but it could also backfire on them.
I understand, yeah, and I see a point. So in case you did talk to Jan, and actually he took this as maybe